Ian Blackford MP, you're the leader of the Scottish National Party in Westminster. What are you hoping for next in these discussions? Will there be a meaningful vote?
Well, there must be a meaningful vote, and our primary interest is to make sure we can protect the interests of the Scottish people. We don't like the fact that Brexit is taking place, and we continually point out that Scotland voted to stay within the European Union. But principally what we're arguing for is the least worst option. There is no good option, but the least worst option is to make sure that we stay in the single market and the customs union. We have to be clear that being out with the single market, out with the customs union, will be an economic catastrophe. All the economic analysis that's been produced indicates the potential of losing up to 80,000 jobs in Scotland if that's what takes place, that people on average will be £2,300 a year worse off. That is a price that is not worth paying. So we've an enormous obligation over the course of the next few weeks is to make sure that we can bring forward that case, make sure we have a meaningful vote in Parliament, and make sure the option of staying in the single market and the customs union is on the table. We have a responsibility to defend the interests of our constituents. We're now going into what is a critical phase. We have to make sure we can win this battle.
You're here today in Brussels to meet with Michel Barnier. Do you think that the Commission will be, and the EU27, are open for a solution that is different for Scotland, not just Northern Ireland, but also different for Scotland in any future arrangement?
Well, of course, there are very clear reasons as to why the interests of the people of Northern Ireland must be protected. We must support the Good Friday Agreement and the delivery of that. But notwithstanding that, if there can be a differentiated deal for Northern Ireland, then it makes the point that we can do the same for Scotland. Scotland has spoken with a very clear voice. We are European, we're European citizens. We want to make sure we can maintain our trade and our customs arrangement. The United Kingdom should respect our position and should make sure that that is part of the negotiations. The Scottish Government, as an elected government, should be represented in those talks.
And in the scenario where the UK does stay outside the customs union, does stay out, sticks to its red lines, being out of single market, no European Court of Just jurisdiction, where does the SNP stand then? What do you do if that happens?
Well, one thing at a time, because what we're trying to do is to protect the interests of the people of Scotland and the United Kingdom by staying in the single market and the customs union. When the SNP were re-elected to government in Edinburgh in 2016, we did have a manifesto commitment. If there was a material change of circumstances, we would have the right to go back to the people of Scotland to ask them to determine their own future. Our First Minister has said, once we know the destination of Brexit, then we will have a conversation as to what options the people of Scotland have. I think everyone realises and appreciates that the Scottish National Party wants to see an independent Scotland as part of the family nations in Europe, but we will reflect on the circumstances once we know what's happening with Brexit.